All right, welcome into Channel BSR. This would be post-game live if it weren't for the fact that it's a West Coast trip, and post-game would be very, very late, playing to no one. So welcome to the first BSR pre-game live on Channel BSR. I'm Jake English from Bird's Eye View, and I'm joined by Scott Magnus, also of the Bird's Eye View podcast. Hey, Scott.
Hi, everybody.
It's Bird's Eye View after dark, if you will. So we're here to talk about tonight's game, also recap a little bit about what we saw last night. Last night may not have been something you saw. Again, the late games, the 10:05 is tough to stay up for the end of, but it was a good one if you did watch. The Orioles got just enough, and they got plenty of offense from their team leader, Adam Jones. Scotty, did you make any of the game last night?
I made it until you left my house, and then I promptly went to bed with a 2-2 tie. I woke up very surprised to see that Adam Jones was the only offense for the Baltimore Orioles last night. And don't try to sugarcoat it. Adam Jones was the only reason that team won last night. Well, him and Bud Norris.
Yeah, Bud Norris was amazing last night. Bud Norris had it going on. He pitched into the sixth inning. What, it was 6 1/3? Is that right?
Yeah, 6 1/3. And again, it's an amazing situation, too, because, he had the line driver come back off his ankle. And I think both you and I looked at it and said, oh, he's going to come out of the game. It's going to be a TJ McFarland night, and no one wants a TJ McFarland night. But Bud Norris was able to tough through it and pitch a great game against the highest scoring team in Major League Baseball in terms of runs scored per game.
Well, I think there were three main storylines, and you touched on one of them when it comes to Bud Norris, and that was taking the shot off the ankle. You're absolutely right. It ricocheted off of him, and you thought, ooh, that's not good. And it wasn't just that it wasn't good for that game, but that's the kind of thing that could take you out for a couple starts. He managed to tough his way through. It didn't look great in his warm-up pitches, and he was grimacing a lot for the rest of that inning, but he really seemed to bounce back really well. The next storyline that I want to talk about is the man had his fastball command working. He really managed to get himself out of trouble by managing to hit that corner of the plate on the outside, low and away, to get himself strikeout after strikeout to end innings. It was really fun to watch.
No, you're right. It was absolutely a great game for him to come back and perform the way he did. But it's nothing different than what Bud Norris has been. If he's has the control and is able to paint the outside corner, which he was able to do, and also the umpire was able to give him the outside corner for the majority of that game, Bud Norris is able to dominate. But if he is a minuscule strike zone and he's not able to paint that corner, Bud Norris is a average, if not below average pitcher.
All right, that's the two storylines. Let's get to the third. Did you see the junk grab?
Yes, I saw the junk grab and then the O face following it afterwards.
That was amazing. I have no idea what that was about. I mean, I know he was excited, but I don't know if he was showing somebody up on the base paths or talking to the fans or what have you, but he just gave the old junk grab, gave the O face, and headed off to the dugout. It was fun.
Definitely very enjoyable to see him get so excited. We haven't seen that much excitement from a lot of our players. I think Mattis, when he struck out like Josh Hamilton in the past, has got really excited about it. But that was good to see a pitcher get really excited for getting out of a jam like that.
Sure. Well, that's the pitching or the starting pitching at least. You mentioned, of course, that Adam Jones was the story. Let's get back to Adam Jones a little bit later when it comes to the offense. The Orioles managed to scatter 6 hits last night. 2 of them came from Markakis in 4 at-bats. He was on point last night.
He was on point. A good game on his part. But again, ho-hum, it's Nick Markakis.
Absolutely. He did take a strikeout looking, which you hate to see from him. But, yeah, he was involved in all of the runs, obviously, because he was on base when Adam Jones hit it out. After that, you've got a hit from Nelson Cruz, who went 1 for 4. You've got a hit from Steve Pearce, again, who was 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. And that's it for the offense until you get to the man himself, and that is Adam Jones. And I don't know if you can say enough about the distance he got on those home runs. They were big.
They were moonshots. I mean, over 400 feet. I mean, anytime that you can put them out by the rocks and also the very back of the bullpen in left field, those are some moonshots in Los Angeles. So for anybody that was claiming that the home run derby was going to affect Adam Jones' swing, it doesn't look like it's affecting it too much, and in fact, it looks like it may have improved it.
Yeah, if only the home run derby were this week, he'd be fine. The other thing about Jones is that he has a lot of friends and family in town watching him play because obviously he's from California, from San Diego. So that's kind of cool that he got to perform so well in front of his people. You know, he always gives that little arm tap on the sleeve whenever he hits a home run. But you could also see him pointing to the crowd just over the dugout when he got back to home. So it was pretty cool to see him have a big night on his stage, if you will.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that you want to see your club leader, have a big game like that. And when the rest of your team pretty much does nothing, it's great to see a player step up and win the game for you.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because I fell asleep promptly after the game. I mean, the game ended and I turned off the TV and rolled over, and I was probably asleep before I finished rolling over. But I went back today to watch the post-game press conference, or interview, rather, with Adam Jones, and he said right away, Bud Norris was the reason we won that game. He was great tonight. And, it's that one game at a time cliche, and I know all the Bull Durham stuff, but it was kind of cool to see the leader of your team who had a big night kind of deflect that credit and give it up to his teammates.
You're right about that. I mean, it was a good thing to see, but he is right. Bud Norris was a major contributor for that game to hold the Angels to only 2 runs. That's huge.
Yeah, especially because that team knows how to hit, and they know how to win at home. I don't have the stats here in front of me, which I know shocks you, Scott, but they are the winningest team at home, and it was good to see from them. Now, I mentioned that we would talk about the rest of the pitchers. You've got Darren O'Day, who pitched an inning, and Zach Britton, who pitched an inning. Again, not much really going on. No hits for either of them, and a strikeout apiece. So good stuff from the bullpen, and they're not very... Oh, I'm sorry. There's also Brian Mattis, who pitched the third, as you said, who got out, struck out Hamilton. So not a burned pen going into the remainder of this series.
No, like I said, that comebacker could have easily burnt this pen. I think one of the interesting points of that was Brian Mattis coming in too for that, loogie spot and basically only getting the one out. But that's a big spot earned to only go against one batter. But that's pretty much his job now, is to get that one batter. I also think we need to talk about Zach Britton and his ability to come back even after getting the comebacker off the mound. Having a pretty effective shutdown closing spot there pretty much, I think, should silence a lot of critics of saying, oh, he's going to constantly blow these games.
Yeah, I read that he's still having trouble with that arm, which, again, is not his throwing arm, but still, I heard that it was pretty stiff today to the point where he was having trouble bending it. So you got to imagine that he's probably unavailable tonight.
I would figure that to be the case. Maybe we'll get some subductive Tommy Hunter.
Oh, I can hardly wait. Actually, scratch that. I hope that it's a laugher tonight. I hope the Orioles blow out the Angels so I don't have to worry about being seduced in the 9th inning.
That would be nice. It would be great to score 30 runs and maybe the Angels only score 3 runs.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was last night. It was a great game. The other thing that was important about last night is that after losing the series in Oakland, a series that could have gone the other way, in a really bad start to a tough stretch of games, it was kind of nice to see the Orioles make a statement like, we're not going to lie down on this West Coast trip. And if the Orioles take either one of the games, either tonight or the one that follows, they'll set themselves up in pretty good position to salvage this 10-game stretch between the Athletics, the Angels, and the Mariners.
No, you're totally right. I mean, if the Orioles could win either tonight or tomorrow night, that puts them in great shape for the rest of this road trip. So tonight's a great night to go against it. We've got a pitcher that certainly doesn't strike you as dominating. And if you look at tomorrow, you've got Jared Weaver, who, again, is not as good as he used to be, but he's still a darn good pitcher. So, Jake, let's start going through the numbers for tonight's matchup.
Oh, numbers? Are you sure?
Yes, numbers. Speaking of numbers, everyone should turn into our most recent podcast, episode 87, which was I was told there was going to be no math. We have an excellent discussion about statistics and the Baltimore Orioles and whether the Orioles are going to regress or stay where they have been for this season so far.
All right, way to plug our own stuff. You said that you want to look at the numbers for tonight. Go for it.
Sure. So the starting pitcher that we're going against tonight is Hector Santiago. He's a left-handed pitcher, and he currently is boasting a 4.32 ERA, and he's 2-7. Now, most teams would look at this and say, no big deal. But I look at that as a crafty left-hander that is going to give us all kinds of problems tonight.
Yeah, I mean the thing is he's not a fantastic pitcher. There's nothing wrong with him, but he's not a great pitcher, which means that we're going to have all sorts of trouble with him. The other thing is that again, outside of Adam Jones, who rakes against lefties, the rest of the offense was pretty quiet last night. So you can imagine that either they're going to continue to get buried or they're burst out. Hopefully, it'll be the latter.
It's interesting taking a look at his numbers for this year. He's actually at 8.64 Ks per nine, which is actually much more than anybody else on the Orioles. But his walks are up there at 3.38. So again, I'm going to come back to the point of, the Orioles are going to need to be a little bit patient out there and try to draw some walks. Oh, who am I kidding? They're just going to go out there and free swing.
Patience from the Orioles. I don't know about that, Scotty. We talked about Adam Jones being a guy who's playing out in front of his family and friends, but we've got somebody else doing that tonight, and that's Miguel Gonzalez, who makes his return to the Major League club after being optioned for basically some additional starts during the All-Star break. He's from this part of the country. It'll be nice to see if he can build on his starts that he's had really good, solid starts in the last couple of go-rounds.
Yeah, out here in Los Angeles, he's 2-1, and he has an ERA of 2.14 in these appearances. So he's got a good potential to come out here and do really well. In his 3 past games, he went for 8 innings, 6 innings, and 7 innings. If Miguel Gonzalez can go 6+ innings, I think we'd all be very happy tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what we need. Again, if we got another deep outing from the starter, I would think that the bullpen would just be in excellent shape moving forward for whatever hits this team in that Mariners series. One of the things that I wanted to talk about was some of the things you were talking about. We have to have patient at bats and all that kind of stuff. The Orioles won last night's game even though they struck out 15 times. 15. That's not good. And you would think that a team that strikes out 15 times would lose. But not only did the Orioles win last night, the last time they struck out 15 times in a 9-inning game, they also won. That was in 2012 against the Devil Rays. What's up with that?
Numbers are funky.
Are you saying that I just cherry-picked those numbers?
You just cherry-picked those numbers. The fact of the matter is there's plenty of teams out there that have 15 strikeouts that would lose that game. In fact, if Adam Jones doesn't hit those 2 home runs, the Orioles get dominated in that game.
All right, we talked about Adam Jones and about how he's raking against left-handers. One of the guys that really needs to get going is Chris Davis. And off the air before we got started, you were telling me that Davis actually has some history with this starter?
Yeah, there's a brief sample set. The individual that has the most amount of plate appearances against this individual is Adam Jones, and Chris Davis is right behind him at 6 plate appearances. Adam Jones, coming in against Hedrick Santiago, has 8 plate appearances, and he's batting 1.125 in terms of OPS. But Chris Davis, who's a left-handed hitter, and Santiago's a left-handed pitcher, has gone against him 6 times, and his OPS is 1.333. Now, I think we need to take this into consideration. This is a very, very small sample size. I don't think we can take or glean anything from it. There's not enough data here to say, oh, they're going to do great today. Not to mention all Chris Davis' numbers is from 2013. Second half of 2013, but still through 2013.
Yeah, that was the good Chris Davis.
Yeah, but again, Chris Davis did see a lukewarm performance in 2013 in the second half, where his K percentage has been very similar in the first half to the end of 2013.
Gotcha. All right, well, one of the things that didn't bite us last night was being behind. And I think that this team can't get very far behind because the bugaboo of the Angels had been their bullpen, but they seem to have solved that problem. Do you think that it's important for the Orioles to keep it close and strike late, or do you think it's to beat the starter so they don't have to worry about the back end of the bullpen?
I think it's to beat the starter in this case. I don't think we want to get to the bullpen. I know there's been issues with the bullpen, but I think we want to get to the starter early and quick.
All right, cool. Any other notes to the game as far as the lineup is concerned for guys that you think are either going to have a big game or need to have a big game?
I've got a funny feeling in the back of my head that we may see Delman Young tonight, and Delman Young may have a huge hit for this team. Just
Delman
a hunch.
Young.
Yeah, just a hunch.
Delman Young, the same guy who sits on the bench for the Baltimore Orioles?
Yes, Delman Young, the guy that sits on the bench for the Orioles. I have a funny feeling that he's going to get off the bench tonight and have a very big hit for the Orioles.
All right. You're sure, it could be David Lowe,
You realize he got thrown out stealing last night.
Yes, I am well aware. He got thrown out stealing, by the way, with Adam Jones at the plate.
Yes, that is correct. So
can we talk about the fact that he got thrown out stealing when he was on base for the guy who had already hit two-run home runs?
That's pretty bad, gotta say.
This guy's baseball acumen drives me crazy. I still don't understand what he's doing on this team.
Jake, we could constantly go through the stats, but again, the stats for this game are pretty mediocre, but I think it does come back to the situation of this is an individual that has a high strikeout, but also high walk. So I think the Orioles are going to need to be patient at the plate. We'll see what happens. But again, the Orioles haven't had very good luck against left-handed pitchers. It's going to be a situation of we're going to have to break a trend here, knock someone out that is really not a very good pitcher as a left-hander, and really be patient at the plate. We're going to see if the Orioles can change that. My opinion is we're probably going to see the same that we've been seeing for the rest of the season. But one individual I wanted to talk about, almost in a post-game standpoint, is Dylan Bundy. Dylan Bundy tonight was in Frederick. He pitched 6 scoreless innings for the Frederick Keys and allowed only 3 hits. That's a good sign for Dylan Bundy to only go 6 innings and only give up 3 hits. He also had 2 walks and 1 strikeout. Jake, what are your thoughts?
I kind of feel like Dylan Bundy's in a lose-lose scenario because if he does poorly against the high ball single-A team, you're like, what's going on with Dylan Bundy? And yet when he does really well, you think, well, yeah, he should have a really good game against single-A guys because Dylan Bundy eventually belongs starting at AAA, and I think that we'll see him in the major league level in September at least. So I'm really not that impressed that he's beating single-A guys.
I also have a concern about this. Yes, he went 6 innings and he only gave up 3 hits, but I'm also a little concerned that he only had 1 strikeout and gave up 2 walks. That's a situation to me that it's really, I'm really concerned about somewhat of his command, but also his ability to get the strikeouts. We talked about this before about K per 9 and walks per 9, and having a K per 9 and walks per 9 that is greater than 2. Right now, most of the Orioles are right around 1.8. If Dylan Bundy's going to be something, he's going to have to get that strikeout rate up and eliminate those walks.
That's exactly what I was talking about. See, he gave up 3 hits, and you're beating him up for not getting those outs by the strikeout. What is the guy supposed to do? He's in a lose-lose. It's the Kobayashi Maru for this guy.
All I'm going to say is when we had the 2014 bevies, I made the prediction that Dylan Bundy was not going to be with this team come the end of the year.
Yeah, so you think he's going to get traded for a guy like Chase? Oh, wait, no, not Chase Headley.
Yes. For those that didn't hear, the New York Yankees traded for Chase Headley. Jake, opinions?
I think it's a solid meh. I mean, Chase Headley's a good ball player, don't get me wrong, and he'll probably enjoy playing in Yankee Stadium, but Chase Headley can't pitch, and so for the New York Yankees, he's nothing more than a really nice deck chair.
I suppose. I think it was a great move by the Yankees again to go out of there and get a good player, not a great player, but a good player to fill in at third base.
He's an absolute upgrade, don't get me wrong. I just don't think it's enough.
You're probably right. But again, McCarthy also coming in for the Yankees and had a great outing last time too. So the Yankees are making some very smart moves. And I don't know about you, but that kind of concerns me a little bit.
I ain't scared. Not by the Yankees.
Okay, that's good to hear. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. But other than that, anything else that you wanted to touch on before we go ahead and refill our beverages and get ready for the game tonight?
No, I mean I think we really set it up fine. We need to see a patient at bats. I'm hoping that Steve Pearce will do good things tonight. We didn't talk about Steve Pearce, but I'm hoping that he'll have a good solid at bats. He's a power right-handed bat, but he also knows what to do with the stick, and he knows how to have patient at bats. So that's I think going to be the key to the lineup tonight. But no, Miguel Gonzalez needs to follow up on what he's done in the last few major league starts. And again, if we can win this game, we set ourselves up great for the rest of this road trip.
Well, with that, Birdland, I just want to let you know, too, the Bird's Eye View and the Baltimore Sports Report Network is also going to be hosting an event on August 2nd. It's called the Birdland Bash. It is going to be a softball event at night at Camden Yards. So please go to birdseyeviewbaltimore.com or follow us on Twitter at birdseyeviewbal, and you can get all the information to sign up for this lovely event, and you can come out and school me and Jake in softball because, honestly, we're absolutely horrible at softball, and that's why we talk about baseball.
Absolutely. I don't think that we can understate that, or I don't think we can overstate it, rather, how terrible we are at softball. And basically any physical or athletic event, we're going to be dead last. Well, Scott, with that, if you don't have anything else about this game, I think it's time to sign off, let these good people get back to watching the game. So we're going to go ahead and sign off here. Thanks for watching the pregame show on channel BSR. We will be back on Thursday. Well, not Scott or I, but the pregame show will be back on Thursday, again around 9 or 9:30, and be sure to tune in before Thursday's game. For Scott Magnus of Bird's Eye View, I'm Jake English. Thanks for watching, and go O's.
Good night, Baltimore.